So honored to be joined by the three original members of Chicago. Keyboardist, vocalist, lyricist, Robert Lamb. Thanks for joining us.
Good to see you.
In the middle, trombonist, raconteur, veteran of the legendary Club Gigi, Jimmy Pankow. Thanks for joining us.
Pleasure to be here.
Trombone, flugelhorn, vocals, trumpet, flugelhorn, and vocalist Lee Lockney. Thanks for joining us.
How you doing?
Let's talk off the top. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. You guys had your rehearsal with Danny Seraphin. I know that was probably a little surreal. Then the whole event came. Kind of talk about what happened and how has it sunk in now that it's finally over?
Yes, it actually started sinking in the moment we got it because we didn't think it was going to happen at all. So when it did, I was surprised how excited I got. And I think we were all pretty excited to be included in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So it was fun from the moment that we heard about it through the course of the show.
What freaked us out really was the reality of 37 million plus fans stepping up to the plate and voting for us. When we realized the overwhelming love for the band, it was, I think for me, more overwhelming than actually being inducted. The fact that all those people stepped up and showed their support was amazing.
Robert?
Yeah, I didn't expect it to be as much fun as it turned out to be. The performance, meeting some of the other inductees. The jam was really a lot of fun at the end. And the whole thing was just a pleasure. You know, it was a really serious honor.
People also maybe don't know that yourself, Robert, and Jimmy are nominated into the Songwriters Hall of Fame for what you've done. And we won't get into the whole thing about songwriting because I know we could take forever, but I wanted to talk about, because people know you, Robert, for Beginnings in 25 or 6 to 4. Does anybody know what time it is? But I heard a song that I run to almost every day from your 6th album called Hollywood. And the line in the song is, watch what you say when you say it. Someone you know will betray it. If it's based on personal experience, was Hollywood not quite what you thought it was when you guys made that move and lived on that house on Holly Drive?
No one knows what Hollywood is like until you get there. You know, it's just, you know, it's a word, it has an image. You know, we watch films and read books and newspaper articles and we think we know what Hollywood is, but you don't know what it is until you're there.
And it was a lot different then. The late 60s, early 70s, it was a fertile environment. You know, it was peace, love, hey, how you doing, man? You know, and live music happening up and down the strip. And we became the house band at the Whiskey A Go-Go, and that was our life.
I wanted to ask a question about that because you guys rehearsed and wrote and rehearsed and wrote at the house on Holly Drive. And then you were the house band at the Whiskey. Now, playing is one thing, you play a lot of gigs, but for honing your act, to deal with, I call that yob at the back of the Whiskey A Go-Go who's had one too many Budweisers and is yelling stuff at you. Talk about what you did as far as honing your act from a stage presence perspective as opposed to just writing songs.
I think we pretty much just planted our feet and played. I don't know if there was any really outward focus on performance other than playing the music the best way we
I think it took
know.
several years of actually playing venues like we're playing tonight to realize that we needed to have an act.
Right.
And so we sort of learned by doing.
There was no room to move at the Whiskey.
Yeah, and in the old days, you know, back in the Midwest, when we were playing all the upholstered sewers from Minneapolis to Indianapolis.
Sewers.
Yeah.
That's his favorite.
That's
word.
nice.
Yeah. I mean, every bar, you know, and we were doing steps. We were like a half-baked, you know, Vegas type show band.
There's no room to do steps, you kidding me?
Yeah, and you know, we got to the point where we became disgusted with this facade, and we decided to be us, and we allowed our own music. Robert was the first member to bring original material into the band, And we started focusing on that, our own voice.
You know, touring with Jimi Hendrix in arenas, that kind of opened our eyes to what was required to project the music that we were playing. So like I said, you know, it took a few years of traveling and touring, performing all over the world to realize how to do it.
Right, because when we first
We're still kind of working on it.
when we first
Yeah.
went out with them, and they offered us opening act status on the tour. We set up the way we did in the clubs, pretty much close together, and then we realized we had more room on the stage, so we started separating a little bit, and that was the beginning of how to learn how to perform,
How to use a big stage.
in an arena.
I don't want to sound crusty, but people that know me say, yes, you are. Kids today don't know. Because you guys played, especially at the start, what I call a stupid number of one-nighters. 300, 325, you played, and you played, you played. These days, in the American Idol type thing, and The Voice and what have you, kids aren't paying their dues. Fair statement?
I don't know. I think some artists are paying their dues.
Some?
Yeah, I think like the Backstreet Boys, the boy bands. I think whenever I saw anything about them, they were always on the road. They were in Europe, they were in Australia, they were in the U.S., they were in South America, and I wouldn't be surprised if they put in 300 or so days in the year.
But is it fair to say that a lot of acts don't, that they're based on marketing
Probably.
only?
Yeah, well, as much as we know about them.
I mean, what would you rather do, stand on stage and play in front of people, or spend 10 hours shooting a video? I know what I'd rather be doing. So I think there's, the dues that they're paying may look a little bit different, but they got to work hard. I mean, Lady Gaga works very hard. Mm-hmm. She didn't just appear.
I think Justin Timberlake works hard, and Bruno Mars.
You guys, and maybe people don't know this because I did some background checking. Last week you played Atlantic City and then you went to Providence, Rhode Island. It's about a 5-hour bus ride. And in August you went from Anderson, Indiana to Sylvania, Ohio, which is about 6. And my point is that your show ends 10:30, 11 o'clock roughly. By the time you get on the bus, let's call it midnight. You get to the venue, you're asleep on the bus, we're here, so you get roused out of a sleep on the bus. Now you got to go to the hotel room, try to fall asleep,
Wake up and go to sleep.
Wake up, go to sleep, and come back and do this all over again. Where do you get your energy from?
You go to sleep.
The show. The show is my energy. That is the pull. The logistics get tedious, but every time we walk on that stage and we feel the approval of that audience, it's an instant rush, and it pulls you out of any doldrum you might be in.
I want to take that one step further, Jimmy, because you and I talked coming in here about staying in shape and push-ups and what have you. Your sponsor is Under Armour. I know that they have worked with you in the past. What I'd like to do, and this is a blatant plug for Under Armour, which is fine, I'd like to get one of those Under Armour monitors, because I'm a runner, to monitor me after a run, number of steps, number of heartbeats, miles, calories consumed, compare me to what you extend on the stage and see just how hard you work. Are you in for that?
You'd have to spend a lot of time out there on the road, man. It also, it's a matter of, differential in terms of, what instrument you play. Playing a wind instrument requires diaphragm muscles and pushing air through a horn. And that is a very physical activity.
Last 2 questions for you. Number 1, at some point this is going to end. At some point we all say, you know what, I've had enough. How are you guys going to know individually when it's time?
I have no idea.
Really?
Yeah, this has been a pretty good run.
Yeah, 49 years.
Yeah, 49 years is pretty good. So for me, if it stops now, I'd have to say we had a great time, and I'm on to what's next. Finish off raising my son.
I mean, the band is firing on all cylinders. The band is better than it's ever been. I mean, we're just really tight. It's slamming. And the audience is having a great time. we're going to keep doing it as long as that's all going on. And it is. We have no end in sight at this point.
Robert?
I think that we'll do it. Me personally, I'll do it until I can't do it. Right?
There you go.
I'll do it until I suck.
And that's a long way away because I don't think that'd ever happen. All right, last question. I've got my own favorite personal Chicago album. I'm curious, and you guys have to pick one now. You know, you've had 33, and you're going to say all of them. I know that.
No, I won't.
Okay, but they're good. You have to pick one. What's your favorite, Lee?
I'll go with 7.
7.
Sure.
Okay, Jimmy?
I'm going to just stick to number 1, baby. That first one. That first one represents the first everything. Walking into that studio, in front of that mic, knowing that this is going on tape forever. I better not blow any clams because this is forever. And
So one's
I'll never forget it. I'll never forget it. There's something magical about that first effort. It represents all those formative years and the origins of the band and the music and who we really are. And that album still stands up.
Robert?
It's tough for me.
I know.
All of the albums we did at Caribou Ranch are really interesting. You know, we really had freedom. It was the beginning of really serious multi-tracking. I think the writing, the songwriting was good. A lot of guys in the band that weren't writing all of a sudden were writing. So I just think that, you know, while Terry Kath was still alive, I think those albums are the most interesting to me.
And interestingly enough, the thing about the multi-tracking, once we had more and more tracks that you could fill up, we had to make sure that when you recorded something, it either moved the song further ahead or you erased it. Because there was no sense just putting stuff on the tracks just because they were there.
It required a lot more decision making.
Yeah.
By the way, 2, CTA, and 7. There's my top 3. Just so you know. So I got
They're
it
not
all
bad
covered.
choices either.
Robert Lamb, Jimmy Pankow, Lee Loughnane, 49 years. Congratulations on the Rock and Roll Hall of
Salute.
Fame.
Thank you.
Have a great run tonight. Have a great run next year for your 50th. Stay healthy. God bless you.
By the way,
That's the plan. Thank you.
before we break camp, I just want to say that it's really a treat for us to bring this package, Chicago and Earth, Wind and Fire, to Canada because we haven't done it yet. And if last night's audience in Montreal was any indication of the rest of these dates, everybody's in for a heck of a
It's a fun show. Fun show.
They were bonkers last night.
Just wait.
All right.
It's a pleasure,
Thank you.
Ted.
All right.